Okay, talking about actually assembling the IUD itself, I wanted to show some of the prototypes I put together and talk through that process. Here's one of the earlier prototypes. This is started out when it's printed, it just looks like a C. It looks like a C like this, and then I folded it backwards at this middle point to form this V shape with the nice arching arms. This one's a little bit too thick, honestly, to fit into the tube, but it was an interesting prototype. After you've folded it back, you can start to wrap the wire around. And a couple of nice points about this that you can see in this prototype. One is that I've got a loop of the wire that comes down to the same point as the bend in the V of plastic. That's because I want to run the strings through both the plastic and the wire to make sure that both of them are attached solidly to the strings so that when we pull on the removal strings, everything comes out. Another thing I'll note about this one is I tried to wrap the wire around both arms to see how that would work, and that is just too thick as a result. When this folds up to fit inside the tube, that's just too thick. So that approach did not work. And here is a prototype that has the string, shows that's good. Shows the loop, shows the knot, shows that I just wrapped the copper around one side and not the other arm. And one thing you should note is that this means we've got about 215 millimeters squared of copper surface area all over this wire. Another thing that I'll note is that I did a pretty good job here of tucking the one end of the copper underneath this spool so that it's really, really tucked in there and not worrying about scratching things. But for this other end, what I've actually done is bent this tip back around to form a blunter point here. You do not want to have this point scratching around in there. So you can bend it back nicely like this so that all the exposed pieces, especially on the outer surfaces here, which is where these arms are going to be kind of pressing up against the sides of the eaters, so that everything is as smooth as possible there. And then the last comment on the strings, obviously they're very small and fine. These strings are actually not the strings you want to use. This is a braided type of fishing line. It's the right diameter and the right test weight. It's about 8-pound tests, but which is overkill, by the way. I mean, I think you could get away with 2-pound test or something like that. It's not got a lot of resistance force on it. But you do not want to use the braided because bacteria can work their way up through the braid. You want to use monofilament, which is much more resistant to that.